Hello friend, this is me, your host. Welcome back to our channel. I hope you all are well and doing great. So today I'm back with another video to give a review on three books, which three of them about crime, thrilling, historical stories. So the first one, the book which we're going to see today is We Play Games. This book is by Sarah A. Denzel. Introduction. Sarah A. Denzel has long been known for her ability to turn everyday domesticity into a breeding ground for paranoia, manipulation, and fear. Her books, including Silent Child and Find Her First, demonstrate her knack for creating seemingly ordinary characters whose choices spiral into darkness. With We Play Games 24, Denzel pushes her boundaries further, crafting a story designed specifically for the audiobook medium. What results is not just a thriller to be read, it is one to be experienced. This novel thrives in sound. The voice of Billie Piper and Dan Stevens elevate Effie and Ben May into flesh and blood characters, dripping with charm, venom, and duplicity. Through them, Denzel explores one of her recurring obsessions: how far people will go to preserve control, comfort, and power. At first glance, We Play Games is about a couple of charming con artists scratched beneath the surface, however, and it becomes a scathing dissection of marriage as performance, suburbia as a stage, and wealth as bait in a dangerous game. Plot summary, non spoiler. Effie and Ben May have abandoned their London life and relocated to Ivy Oaks, a pristine, upscale, gated community where appearances mean everything. To neighbors, they are golden couple, attractive, sophisticated, friendly. Behind closed doors, though, the entire life is a con. Effie and Ben manipulate wealthy residents, seducing them into compromising situations, then using blackmail and psychological games to extract what they want. They do not simply play games, they orchestrate them. At the heart of the story lies Effie's growing dissatisfaction. The life of constant deceit is taking its toll, and she begins to question Ben's control over her. The game that once bound them together starts to fracture. But what happens when one half of a con artist duo decides to quit? Can you ever leave the game you designed? As tension mounts, the stakes escalates into betrayals, reversals, and consequences that blur the lines between player and victim. Denzel carefully avoids predictable beats, ensuring that every revelation heightens suspense. Chapter by chapter pacing. Though the book is structured for audio, its pacing follows a three-act thriller arc. Act 1, Setup. Ivy Ox is introduced, Effie and Ben's marriage and cons are revealed. Act 2, The game shifts. Effie doubts Ben, cracks form in their plan, and secondary characters complicate the con. Act 3, Collapse. Deception implodes with an ending that resolves the central conflict while deliberately denying neat closure. Unlike some thrillers that rely on sudden twists, we play games, builds tension through psychological chess moves. Every chapter ends with unease, sometimes a revelation, sometimes simply a pause that makes the listener dread the next move. Characters in depth. Effie May. Effie is more than a femme fatale. She is intelligent, calculating, but also wary. At times, she feels like a hostage to the life she and Ben created. Her voice brought to life by Billy Piper is laced with the vulnerability. Beneath steel, Piper captures Effie's moral conflict beautifully, making her both complicit and sympathetic. Ben May. Ben, voiced by Dan Stevens, is a magnetic yet chilling. He exudes confidence and manipulative charm. His sociopathy is subtle, not cartoonish villainy, but a cool detachment from morality. Stevens' performance leans into seduction, making Ben likable. Likable enough that listeners feel complicit in his crimes. Ivy Oaks, the setting. The gated community isn't just a backdrop, it functions almost like a character. Its manicured lawns, high fences, and quiet streets embody false security. like its residents. The place is polished on the outside but seething with secrets within. Supporting cast: secondary characters including wealthy neighbors, podcast hosts, and unexpected victims add texture. Their flaws, vanity, greed, lust, become fuel for the Maya's manipulation. The multi-voice cast ensures each feels distinct and memorable. Themes explored: games as life and marriage. Marriage is portrayed as the ultimate game: alliances, betrayals, performances. Effie and Ben aren't just conning others, they are constantly outmaneuvering each other. Class and wealth. Ivy Oaks epitomizes middle class aspiration and elitism. The rich neighbors are targets precisely because their privilege builds them to predators like the Mays. Performance and identity. The couple live in perpetual performance. Their marriage, their friendliness, their truthworthiness, all are roles. Denzel asks, if your entire life is a game, do you ever know who you really are? Morality and redemption. Effie's arc centers on the question: can you walk away from correction once you are entrenched? Can there be redemption for someone who has lived by lies? The ending and consequences. The ending refuses catharsis. Instead, it leaves listeners unsettled, echoing real life where some games end not with winners but with scars. Comparison and context. Strengths: BA Paris behind closed doors. Will see echoes in the toxic marriage. Sherry LePena, the couple next door, recognize the suburban secrecy. Gillian Flynn, Gone Girl resonates in the battle of the psychological warfare. Compared to Denzel's own silent child, We Play Games is less about trauma and more about deception. But her signature strengths: pacing, atmosphere, psychological tension remain. Strengths: audiobook performance, rare cinematic immersion, psychological complexity. Effie and Ben are both repellent and magnetic. Atmosphere. Ivy oaks as a symbol of perfection, masking growth. Pacing. Relentless tension without cheap twists. Conclusion. We Play Games is a chilling, immersive thriller that thrives in its audio form. It strips marriage, wealth, and community to their rawest, most manipulative foundations and dares listeners to question their own complicity. Sarah A. Denzel has delivered not only a thriller but also an experience, an unsettling game of masks and moves where winning may not be possible and survival is the only prize. The next book which we're going to see today in this book is The Second Honeymoon by McGarvey Black. Introduction. McGarvey Black has established herself as a compelling voice in the genre of domestic thrillers and psychological suspense. Her works typically revolve around ordinary people in seemingly ordinary situations who find themselves thrust into unsettling, emotionally charged, and often dangerous circumstances. The Second Honeymoon 23 is one of her more recent contributions to the genre and exemplifies the unique strengths of her storytelling. Claustrophobic tension, fractured relationships, and the chilling uncertainty of whom one can truly trust. The novel's very title, The Second Honeymoon, is an ironic twist on a phrase typically associated with love, romance, and renewal. Where most people think of honeymoons as joyful beginnings. McGarvey Black presents the second honeymoon as a space where illusions unravel and truth become dangerous. Instead of rediscovering love, her characters uncover betrayal, manipulation, and unsettling revelations about the very people they thought they know best. This review will explore the book in detail, covering its plot, character development, themes, stylistic choices, symbolism, reception, and overall impact. By doing so, it will demonstrate how the second honeymoon is more than just a thriller. It is a reflection of the fragility of trust and the darkness that can exist within intimate relationships. Detailed plot review. At its core, the second honeymoon is about Kathy and Grant, a married couple who, after years of togetherness, decide to embark on a second honeymoon. To outsiders, this decision might seem like an act of romance, an attempt to rekindle passion, celebrate longevity, or renew emotional connection. But from the very beginning, McGarvey Black plants seeds of doubt. The trip quickly becomes less evasions and moments of tension. Kathy begins to notice details that make her uneasy, inconsistencies in grand stories, moments of detachment, and subtle hints that something is being hidden from her. What begins as unease grows into suspicion. The narrative carefully builds this shift, drawing readers into Kathy's perspective. She questions her husband's honesty, but also questions her own reception. Is she overacting, misinterpreting, or is there truly a danger that lies beneath their marriage? The plot accelerates when these doubts crystallize into real discoveries. Secrets from the past begin to surface. The honeymoon setting, meant to evoke joy and renewal, becomes a claustrophobic stage where betrayal, control, and manipulation play out. McGarvey Black takes readers on a journey from unease to outright fear, creating slow burn psychological thriller where the real danger is not outside forces but within the marriage itself. Chapter by chapter progression. While not a literal summary of even chapter, The novel can be broken down into three key acts. Act 1: Illusion of romance. Kathy and Grant embark on the second honeymoon. The tone suggests renewal, but subtle cracks are already present. Small details begin to unsettle Kathy. Grant's distractedness, controlling undertones, and an almost too perfect insistence that everything is fine. Act 2: Seeds of Doubt. Flashback reveals more about their marriage and past struggles. Kathy recalls moments where Grant was not entirely trustworthy. Conversations turn tense and Kathy begins questioning not only her husband but her own instincts. This act builds the psychological tension by creating ambiguity. Readers like Kathy are unsure whether danger is real or imagined. Act 3: Confrontation and Revelation. The truth begins to surface and the atmosphere shifts from uneasy tension to outright threat. Kathy must decide whether to confront Grant, directly escape, or risk further entanglement. The climax delivers the psychological punch McGarvey Black is known for, a revelation that changes how both the characters and the readers understand everything that came before. This three-act structure mirrors the emotional journey of toxic or abusive relationships, charming beginners, creeping doubts, and eventual confrontation with hard truths. Themes in depth. Marriage and disillusionment. The novel explores the gap between appearances and reality in marriage. What looks perfect from the outside often conceals cracks, lies, or manipulation. Trust and betrayal. Can one truly know their partner? McGarvey Black poses this question throughout the book, using Kathy's shifting trust as the engine of suspense, gaslighting, and psychological control. Grant's subtle manipulation reflects real world dynamics of toxic relationships. The novel captures the insidious way doubt can be sown in a partner's mind. The honeymoon as a symbol. Traditionally a symbol of joy, the honeymoon here is transformed into a space of danger. A setting where illusions collapse rather than grow stronger. Traditionally, as a symbol of joy, the honeymoon here is transformed into a space of danger, a setting where illusions collapse rather than grow stronger. Symbolism and motives. Silence represents both complicity and suppressed truth. Journeys or travel symbolize dislocation and emotional vulnerability. Romantic settings serve as ironic contrast to the growing dread in the relationship. Character analysis. Kathy. Kathy is the emotional core of the novel. She is both vulnerable and relatable, embodying the doubts many people have in long term relationships. Embodying the doubts many people having in long term relationships. Her voice pulls the readers into her insecurities, but she also demonstrates resilience and courage as the story progresses. Kathy is a character who grows, moving from self doubt to clarity and empowerment, even in the face of unsettling revelations. Grant. Grant is a complex figure in McGarvey Black that deliberately keeps him ambiguous for much of the novel. His outward charm and confidence conceal manipulative tendencies. The reader's uncertainty about whether Grant is truly dangerous or merely flawed mirrors Kathy's own doubts, keeping the suspense alive. Secondary characters. Though not central to the narrative, secondary characters, family, friends, or people encountered during the trip, serve as mirrors, showing what Kathy and Grant's relationship could be, or as catalysts who push Kathy toward realization. Symbolism and motives. Represents both complicity and suppressed truth. Journeys or travel symbolize dislocation and emotional vulnerability. Writing style. McGarvey's black prose is taut and atmospheric. She uses sharp chapters that heighten suspense and often end on cliffhangers. The pacing mimics Kathy's mental state, calm at first, then increasingly frantic as suspicions grow. Strengths of the novel. Realistic portrayal of psychological manipulation, strong character development, especially Kathy's arc, effective use of irony and symbolism. a slow burn style that rewards patient readers. McGarvey Black's prose is taut and atmospheric. She uses short, sharp chapters that hide suspense. The basic mimics Kathy's mental state, calm at first, then increasingly frantic as suspicions grow. Strengths of the novel: realistic portrayal of psychological manipulation, strong character development, especially Kathy's arc, effective use of irony and symbolism. A slow burn style that rewards patient readers. Comparison to other authors. Fans of Lisa Jewell, P.A. Paris, or Sherry LePena will recognize similar themes of fractured domesticity and psychological suspense. Yet McGarvey Black differentiates herself by leaning more heavily on realism than melodrama, grounding her thrillers in plausible dynamics of everyday relationships. Critical reception. Readers have praised The Second Honeymoon for being unnerving, tense, and quietly terrifying. While it may not appeal to fans of high action thrillers, it resonates deeply with readers who appreciate psychological realism and the terror of emotional entrapment. Conclusion: McGarvey Black's The Second Honeymoon is a masterful domestic thriller that turns the familiar into the frightening. Its slow burn psychological realism and claustrophobic atmosphere makes it an engrossing read for those who appreciate suspense that lingers long after the last page. Rather than relying on external villains, the novel reveals the darkness that can exist in intimate relationships, a reminder that sometimes the greatest danger is not outside but within the home. The last book which we're going to see today is The Secret Librarian. This is by Soraya M. Lane. Introduction. Soraya Lane has become a beloved name among readers of historical fiction, particularly those who enjoy stories centered on women's resilience, courage, and sacrifice during World War II. Her novels often shine a light on forgotten roles women played as nurses, pilots, code breakers, and everyday civilians turned into heroes by extraordinary circumstances. The Sacred Librarian continues Lane's tradition of placing women at the heart of wartime narratives, but with a particularly intriguing focus. The role of books, knowledge, and the preservation of culture as acts of resistance. While many World War II novels center on battlefronts, espionage, or concentration camps, this one chooses a quieter but equally powerful battleground, the library and the written word. From the title alone, the reader senses a mystery. What does it mean to be a secret librarian? The novel answers this by blending espionage, history, and literature into a story of courage, identity, and the survival of both people and ideas. From the title alone, the reader senses a mystery. What does it mean to be a secret librarian? The novel answers this by blending espionage, history, and literature into a story of courage, identity, and the survival of both people and ideas. Expanded plot review. The story primarily follows Avery, an American librarian who leaves behind the safety of her homeland to work in Lisbon, Portugal during the height of World War II. At first, her role seems modest, helping catalog books, organize information, and assist visiting scholars. Yet, Avery soon discovers that the library is more than it seems. Hidden beneath its shelves and reading rooms lies a covert operation, a secret network of librarians, scholars, and resistance members using books as covers to smuggle microfilm, coded documents, and critical intelligence for the Allied cause. Avery is drawn deeper into this world when she befriends Camille, a French refugee with a tragic past and an unyielding determination to fight back against the Nazi regime. Avery is drawn deeper in. Camille introduces Avery to the double lives that librarians and archivists are leading. By day, keepers of books; by night, guardians of secrets. The tension builds as Avery must make increasingly dangerous choices. Will she risk her life to protect not only books but also people? The climax of the novel comes when Avery undertakes her most dangerous mission yet, transporting critical microfilm hidden within an innocuous book. By the end, Avery is transformed from a quiet, studious librarian into a courageous figure whose contribution, though unseen by history, made a difference in the fight for freedom. Themes and motives. Books as resistance. Perhaps the most powerful theme is the role of books not only as vessels of knowledge but as symbols of freedom. In a war defined by censorship, propaganda, and the destruction of culture, every preserved book becomes a small victory. In a war, Lane makes the library itself a character, a sanctuary of truth in a world of lies. Espionage in unexpected places. Instead of glamorous spies in trench coats, Lane gives us librarians and archivists. Lane gives us librarians and archivists, people underestimated by both Nazis and allies alike. This theme highlights how intelligence work was often carried out by ordinary professionals in unexpected locations. Neutrality and moral dilemmas. Lisbon, historically a neutral city during World War II, serves as a perfect backdrop. Neutrality provides safety but also moral ambiguity. Should Portugal and its people stand by and watch or take risks to fight evil? Avery as an American outsider. Female friendship and solidarity. The novel celebrates not only women's roles in wars but the power of friendship. Avery and Camilla's bond sustains them through loss and fear, emphasizing that resilience is often found in human connection. Historical context. Lane weaves real historical details into the narrative. During World War II, Lisbon was indeed a hub of espionage filled with refugees, spies, and secret police. The use of microfilm to smuggle intelligence was common, and libraries often served as covers for coded messages. Lisbon was indeed a hub of espionage filled with refugees, spies, and secret police. The use of microfilm to smuggle intelligence was common, and libraries often served as covers for coded messages. Additionally, the Nazi systematic looting and destruction of libraries across Europe adds urgency to Avery's mission. By grounding the novel in these truths, Lane ensures that while the story is fictional, its essence is historically authentic. Writing style and structure. Suraya M. Lane's style is accessible yet richly descriptive. She excels at balancing emotional intimacy with historical detail. Suraya Amne's style is accessible yet richly descriptive. She excels at balancing emotional intimacy with historical detail. Chapters often end on moments of suspense, pushing readers forward, while her use of sensory imagery immerses us in Lisbon's streets, cafes, and libraries. Her dialogue is another strength. Conversations between Avery and Camille feel authentic, revealing their personalities while advancing the plot. Lane also avoids the trap of overly romanticizing war, though moments of love and hope appear. The harsh realities of loss and fear are never minimized. Strengths of the novel: a unique angle on World War II fiction, focusing on librarians and knowledge rather than soldiers. Strong female protagonists whose courage is both relatable and inspiring. Historical authenticity, particularly the depiction of Lisbon as a spy hub. Themes that resonate today: the importance of truth, knowledge, and resisting tyranny. Conclusion: The Secret Librarian by Suraya M. Lane is a deeply moving, suspenseful, and inspiring addition to the canon of World War II historical fiction. Through Avery and Camille, Lane celebrates the overlooked roles of women and librarians, reminding us that sometimes the quietest battles are the most powerful. It is a book that will appeal to lovers of history, fans of strong female characters, and anyone who believes in the enduring power of books. Lane has once again proven that she is not only a skilled storyteller but also a guardian of memory, ensuring that stories of courage, especially women's courage, are never forgotten. So, this is all we have from these three books. I hope you guys like the books. If you like, don't forget to press the like button. I'll be back with another videos with another books. Till then, just take care and goodbye.